Hello, hello, and welcome to episode number 61 of the Wondrous Stuff, broadcast live, Google Hangouts on air every second weekend. It's a place where you'll find news, information, and commentary on science, engineering, and technology, and anything else that comes into our little brains. My name is John Gardner, and to help me out on this journey to knowledge, as always, we have, well, it's the same as last week, really, but it's a different colleague this week. So I've got Rossi D.
Hello.
Say hello, Rossi D. Say hello, chap.
Hello. Hello, chap.
Yes, so last week Ross wasn't here because he was drunk.
Because we'd had a draw, of all things
yeah,
to be excited.
And yesterday we lost.
No celebration there.
No celebration. But Richard isn't here because he's got a poorly wife and some children to look after. So what we're going to do this week is, I thought we did have a topic. We had a topic we agreed kind of during the week, but we might hold that over till next time. So I thought, well, what can Ross and I do? And this was literally a couple of hours ago, and it's like, and I've been doing some links on the Wondrous Stuff blog today about all, because basically what happens is, whenever I find a link, I save it and I keep saving all those. And invariably, we don't have enough time to cover everything that I've got a link for. So I collate it every so often, classify them, and pop them on the blog so that people can have a look at them and find some interesting stuff that we might not have covered. And one of the ones on there was the top 10 sort of inventions from Nicola Tesla. And I thought, ooh, yeah, Tesla. He's an interesting blokey. And he was an interesting blokey. He's long gone, departed this earth. But so I thought, yeah, and Ross will be up for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend sort of half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever, on Nicola Tesla. And hopefully you'll all know a bit more about them, and probably we will as well, by the end of this program. Not to say that we don't prepare or anything. But so what I'll do is I'll start it off. And I'll give you a bit of history of Nicola Tesla. Nikola Tesla, sorry, not Nicholas. So he was a Serbian, and he was born in what is now Croatia, but wasn't then. It was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and it was 1856, so it's quite a while ago. He pretty much excelled at school. He worked out that he could do calculus in his brain. And all the teachers thought he was cheating in some way. And basically he graduated. It was a 4-year sort of like term. And he graduated a year earlier than anybody else. So in 1875, he went on to study at Graz Polytechnic in Austria. And first year was great. He passed all of his exams with a maximum amount of marks. He was supposed to take about like 5 or something exams, and he took 9, so he took more than everybody else. He took just for the fun of it, I think.
Show off.
Yeah, show off, absolutely. Yeah. And then things went downhill for him a bit because he got into gambling. In his second year, he got into gambling. He had a bit of an altercation with the lecturers, and he was on a grant. He was on some sort of like bursary, and he lost the bursary because of he decided he wasn't going to go back, and started gambling and dropped out of Polytechnic University, whatever. So then he moved to Slovenia, and he worked as a draftsman, and this was in 1878. Then he moved in 1881 to Budapest, to the Budapest Telephone Company, or the Telephone and Telegraph Company, where he became the chief electrician. The next year, he moved to France to work for the Continental Edison Company, and he obviously excelled there. And then he relocated into New York in the United States, and this is where he started working directly with Edison, and they had a few fallings out. So he left Edison's company in 1886, and then he started work on his own. He got the backing of 2 businessmen, and this, where he started himself, basically. This is where the history of Nikola Tesla really starts, because this is when he came up with all of his inventions. So, do you want me to just carry on with some of the stuff that he's done? Or do you?
Can do. Yeah, so he obviously didn't get on with many people.
No, but then, you know, by all accounts, he had a good sense of humour. So I think he went for a dinner with Rudyard Kipling once, and he said something like he wrote a letter to somebody saying, why does the inksmith Mr. Kipling enforce me to come to these places where my hair was full of cockroaches, and he obviously came to some sort of big mansion house which was all in cobwebby. So by all accounts, he did have quite a good sense of humor. But I think he was because like a lot of people who are advanced in mentally, and other people can't get that level. I think he probably got very frustrated at people. Mm-hmm. So and they probably spilled over a few times in just anger and stuff. So I think if we look at the stuff that we know, that everybody knows, the first thing, and he was doing this while he was working with Edison, and this was alternating current. Now, up until that point, everything was direct current. Everything was from batteries. It was, the standard direct current from a battery. And I think everybody was going down that route, trying that. All of the electrics what we're going to do is all direct current. But Tesla invented essentially alternating current, or he found it. It wasn't, it was already there, but he found that that if you did it with alternating current, you could get it over a lot more of a distance, a lot cheaper. Mm-hmm. So essentially, the first thing is, without him, we wouldn't have had the pylons that we've got today. I'm sure somebody would have come up with an AC later, but we wouldn't have had it this early. This is mains electricity, essentially.
Yeah. It's safer as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's less likely to kill you, I should say.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the current that kills you, really. So, but yeah, it is essentially the way and the way that it's transformed down as well. It loses less over a long distance, so it's more efficient. But they had an argument. Edison and Tesla, they went to the two sides of the current, the direct current and alternating current. So that's the first thing. So we should be all grateful for that, for getting electricity to our homes from and a national grid, I suppose, really, because without that, you wouldn't have got a national grid. Now, there's another one here, which is, radio. This is the first one. I mean, Marconi is the one that's initially credited for radio, and right the way through until the 40s, he was believed to be the one who invented radio. But they found, I think, just after Tesla died, Marconi's patent had been overturned in the Supreme Court in America, because it was proven that Tesla invented the radio years before Marconi.
It was actually in the 19th century, wasn't it? Like late 18.
Yeah. Well, I think the majority of the stuff that he did, he'd at least come up with it in the 1800s, and he might have applied it in the early 1900s. But it was certainly, the theories were all there. What else did he do? Well, he came up with the remote control. He was doing radios, and he came up with the idea of being able to tune a radio in from using a remote control.
There was one thing I was reading about. He had a radio. He did a radio controlled boat.
Yeah, that was all from the radio control experiments he was doing.
So I was reading about that. He called it a tele-automaton. And there was a great thing. Apparently, when he was showing that in Madison Square Garden, he showed that in 1898. And the crowd, as with all these sort of things, that if it's new and you don't know what it is, they're going to say it's magic or telepathy or something. Or apparently they thought it was piloted by a trained monkey.
But
turns out it was none of those things.
I think that's great. Right, so you're showing people that, and it's obviously way out of their field of imagination. They've never seen anything like this before. So
they would think it's magic, wouldn't they?
Well, it is. It's the old imperceptible from magic type of thing. But to give this like a point in time when this was actually happening, Queen Victoria was still on the throne. That's how long ago this was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he had a full radio controlled propeller, rudder, lights, and everything all on this boat. And I think he got patents for it as well. I think. Oops.
Want to see a picture of it?
Have you got a picture of it?
I have. Hold on.
I'll have a picture of that.
There you are. That's his radio controlled boat.
Not like a submarine, is it? Oh.
Doesn't look that much. Yeah, it does look like it would sink.
Yeah,
I suspect the water level was here, and that's why there's this big thing on top of it. So
yes.
I suspect it did go underneath the water.
Yeah.
But he did try selling the idea to the military as like a sort of a radio controlled torpedo type thing, like they have these days. But they weren't interested apparently.
Ah. Yeah, I think he got labelled with the crank thing a lot.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of conspiracy theories around him, isn't there? About how there was a huge chunk of Siberia was
the Tunguska.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was doing
thousands of trees flattened, and they said, "Oh, it was the Tesla death ray."
Yeah, the death ray one. That's an interesting one.
Have you got more information on the death ray?
Oh, I have stuff.
The peace ray.
Well, it was either called the death ray or the peace ray, depending on which newspaper was writing about it. But he called it a teleforce weapon. And what was it he was saying? Hold on, I've got this. He says, my apparatus projects particles which may be relatively large or of microscopic dimensions, enabling us to convey to a small area at a great distance trillions of times more energy than is possible with rays of any kind. Many thousands of horsepower can thus be transmitted by a stream thinner than a hair so that nothing can resist. So he thought that they could send concentrated particles through air and bring down a fleet of 10,000 enemy airplanes at a distance of 200 miles. So quite a serious weapon. I don't think he ever built it, though.
I'm just trying to think what this would actually be in modern terms. Is it just like many ions or concentration of ions, or how would it?
Well, it's effectively comes on from all of his work with like Van de Graaff generators and that, and high voltage, Tesla coils, getting high voltage and creating magnetic fields and firing particles. What was it? Oh, tungsten pellets. That's what it would be, accelerated via high voltage. So like there's like sort of like magnetic gun type things. You see a lot of people making them. Like they get those rare earth magnets and then fire them, and they go very fast. But I don't think they're practically used for anything these days. In terms of what would be a modern.
Well, that what was it called? Tunguska in Siberia.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to have leveled 60 million trees over 2,000 square kilometers.
Yeah. I don't think it was him.
No, it might have been something else, for sure. So that was that, but that's not been proved really.
No.
So there was the Tesla coil really. There was the Tesla coil, but before that he developed the fluorescent lamp. I think he demoed it at the World Fair in America, and he basically took a glass tube and bent it into a famous scientist's name. I don't know what scientist that was, whoever was around at the time. And then he used those tubes, essentially making neon lights, essentially as well.
Yeah.
But it was all fluorescence of gas in a tube, and ions.
Well, this is the thing. If you think it was transmitted without wires as well, wasn't it? Like you didn't actually plug these things in. He just stood next to one of his Tesla coils, and I'm sure he like demonstrated like wireless transmission of energy. And that's something that's sort of being popular now. A lot of mobile phones now are starting to build in these things where you can charge stuff without actually plugging them in. And I'm sure that was one of the things that he effectively invented as well, as a side effect of these massive voltages, basically.
So you basically, I think So yeah, so the idea was the Tesla coil was to be part of a wireless power system.
Yeah,
So he intended it. So to test it, I think he built two big, massive Tesla coils, and well, there's pictures. There's pictures. Let's see if I can open it up in a new tab. This is an actual Tesla coil. Let me and doing its Tesla coily. That would have been quite scary if there was two of those. It's full Frankenstein thing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Mary Shelley and but yeah, I mean that's that's the Tesla coil, and it was the wireless transmitter that he supposedly invented as well, which is part of that, or the magnifying transmitter. And I think they got the lightning bolts that came out of the coil went to about 130 feet long. So interesting.
Quite impressive.
What else did he do?
Well, the electric motor as well, obviously.
Yes, it did. Obviously, coming up from the alternating current as well. This is what he had. This is one of the arguments he had with Edison, because he said that he could make all of his motors about 35% more efficient or something. And Edison said, "Oh well, if you can do that, you have 15,000. I'll give you $15,000 or something like that." Yeah. And obviously he did it. Came back, and then Edison said, you don't understand American humor.
I was only joking.
Yeah, basically that's what he said. It was only a joke. Yeah, so he offered a $10 a month raise, and he basically handed his notice in on the spot. There you go. So the electric motor, laser as well, laser technology. So he
did some. Did he actually make lasers? Just sort of think of the theory of it.
Yeah,
When did lasers actually get invented? I'm sure they were after that.
Yeah, they were after that. But I think it was the theory of lasers, wasn't it? I don't think I think he died before he managed to get that implemented. He did a lot of work with X-rays, because although there was other X-ray research going on, it was very based on individual bits of the whole thing. But he did the entire array of X-ray research. So he did X-ray scans of body parts and stuff like that. So, and this was still, again, way before. This was still in the 1800s and stuff.
Yeah. So. I did find there's a good page where it lists lots of his patents, because he patented a lot of things, as most of these people tend to do. Let me just share this, because I thought this was quite a good one. There we are. Vertical takeoff and landing. So like a helicopter type thing. They could take off and then sort of shift this down via these pulleys and fly off. So he didn't just stick with electricity. He did do some other things as well.
You just talk amongst yourself. No.
So that was in 1921. So yeah.
I'm just trying to find the image that I want, but I probably put in a really weird search term, and I'm never going to find it now. But most of his patents were to do with electricity and electric motors, though. That was basically most of the stuff that he patented. Incandescent lamps. Yeah, I was trying to find that. I was trying to find that plane that does exactly that, where it tips up and rises up like that.
Two of them that then goes forward like that.
Yeah. That's essentially what he's just patented is there.
Yeah.
What else was it?
There was actually some of his patents. When I was looking at his patents, he actually did a patent for a method of measuring how much electricity you use. So like the sort of like electrical meter. So he was thinking about this whole thing of you'd like to know how much energy you've actually used and this sort of stuff. So not just ways of using it, but ways of measuring it.
So that's like a current clamp or something that he invented.
Yeah.
I think he also he did the induction motor. Although I think somebody else demoed it first before Tesla. Tesla got the patents in before him. So so the induction motor. I think we've covered the big ones, haven't we? The free energy thing as well.
I was going to say, I've just found a section on theoretical and claimed inventions. One of those is free energy, and an earthquake machine, a pocket-sized device that could shake a house apart with building waves of energy. I suspect most of these weren't real. A thought camera as well. Yeah.
But
free energy is always an interesting one.
He did come up with the concept of the mobile phone, or certainly the mobile data connection, because he said that when he was demoing it, he says what I need, what I think the aim will be is that you give me all your stock numbers, and I'll type them in one end, and they'll come out with a small device at your end, which is like pretty much the internet there.
So yeah, what was his ideas on free energy, or are they theoretical? Like, are they made up, or did he actually think this could be done?
So he got backing $150,000 to build a tower that would use the natural frequencies of the universe to transmit data.
Well,
including a range of information with images, voice, text, messages, and that was the first wireless communication that he did. And then
I see that his attempt to provide everyone in the world with free energy was his world power system, a method of broadcasting electrical energy without wires through the ground. Yeah, Wardenclyffe Tower, apparently.
Yeah, that was 1900.
It was never finished.
1900 to 1917. Yeah, so I think he had problems getting backing of some of this stuff.
I see. So it was a solar energy. I suppose if it's solar, that is taking the natural frequencies of the universe or whatever.
Yeah, and that is potentially free energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, and this is right. Okay, I've got the photograph of his this Wardenclyffe Tower there.
Yeah.
So he was a strange old bloke. So have you got anything that we might not have come up with?
Let's have a look. No, we've covered the three I had. The radio controlled boat was the one I'd never thought of. Death ray, aerial transport. So I mean, on top of the radio controlled boat, obviously he was interested in things like robotics and machines that did automata, sort of like that sort of thing. But I don't think I don't know what year robots were sort of invented, or automata. But he was interested in that. X-rays. Actually, I know you've covered all my list. Interesting.
Well, there you go. That's a cozy half hour of things on Nikola Tesla. So what I say to you is, if you've never heard of him, or you've only vaguely heard of him, go and read some more about him, because quite frankly, he's a strange bloke. But he was obviously incredibly clever. And some of the stuff that he was postulating probably is only just coming to light now. So, yeah, I think because I don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves, possibly, and that's probably because he was a bit of an outsider, and he wouldn't toe the sort of like the party line, as it were. So as with most of the historical characters like that, they tend to get forgotten because the ones who did play the game kind of go.
I do assume that Elon Musk has named his electric cars after him. Though.
This is one of the things I came up with, because obviously the Tesla car is the first thing that they released a new one this week, and obviously that is a direct link back to Nikola Tesla. So
I have to say I would like one of those cars.
Yeah, and incredibly well, they've got something like 250,000 people have put their name down for one.
Yeah, because this Tesla, is it the third model or something?
Yeah,
it's a mass market one, isn't it? It's actually affordable.
25,000 pounds. I want to say pounds.
I think it's $35,000. So that's probably about right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is,
but it still has the power and the sort of. I think the range is something like 250 miles, which is a practical range as well. Obviously, electric cars, people have always said, unless you're near a charging thing, it's useless. But 250 miles is not bad.
You are in the UK at the moment. You are going to be able to find a charging point within 250 miles.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Especially the fact that all of the motorway services pretty much have got them now. There's not going to be many places that you won't find one in that distance.
But I find it amazing how many charging points you see just walking around a city like Newcastle. Sort of like on a lot of the street corners, there's like sort of 2 spaces that are for charging electric cars.
Well, they've started electric car clubs. They always had car clubs, but they've started electric car clubs where they have a couple of Renault Zoes, which is quite cool. And I mean, there's just around the corner from us. There's a car park, council car park, which is attached to one of the leisure centres, and that's got 2 charging points. And if they manage to get over to my place, well, quite frankly.
How do they work then? Those charging points? Do you pay to park there?
No, they're all free at the moment. I think you pay. Well, I think you pay something to a trust, like a monthly fee, but the actual charging is free at the moment. I mean, that'll change. What they expect will happen is that if they get a huge take-up on electric vehicles, then the subsidy will go. I think, but I don't think they're there yet.
Yeah.
But I would entirely have a Tesla if I could A, afford it, and B, put it in my garage. They do seem to be quite long cars or quite wide cars, so. Although saying that, I can get a Ford Focus Estate in my garage, so I might be able to get it.
I don't even have a garage.
Well, when I say garage, I mean off-street parking. It's got a garage door. It doesn't have a roof. So
right,
technically, it's not a garage, but
I think it has to have a roof to be a garage.
Oh, right. I put a bit of plastic up then. God. But yes, so that is the life and times of Nikola Tesla wrapped up in a cozy 30 minutes with all of his things that he did, proposed, postulated, and otherwise. And Jeff, definitely go and see.
Tell you what, he had a good innings as well. He died at 86.
86.
Yeah. Blimey. So 1943.
In a hotel room.
See, that's good that he was an inventor, and he would have actually seen a lot of uses from his inventions in his lifetime. If he died in 1943, because surely by 1943 the electricity grid was up and running, was it? Must have been.
No, the national grid. No, they were still local then. I suppose he would have seen that they had local generating plants, but the long distance would still be near AC, so that was the first thing. So he would have definitely seen that, and he would have seen all of his motors would have all been around, his induction motors and stuff. Turbines. He did work on turbines, and they'll be in all of the power stations at that time. So,
did he make any money from it? I bet he did.
No, he died bankrupt.
That's a shame.
He died bankrupt. But there you go.
In other news,
was
when would it have been? What? Not last year, but the year before, when we had what's the big technology coming up? That's going to be the big technology this year.
2015's. What's happening in 2015?
Yeah, and I was a year early, but VR is now here. Not literally here, unfortunately, but next week. By next week,
you're obviously talking about Google Glass, Google Cardboard Plastic.
No, I'm not. No. Although I did like that particular April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive. So the Oculus Rift came out last week, and the Vive comes out next week.
Yeah, it's on the 6th, isn't it? Because I kept getting spammed by my Gmail by HTC saying something's coming.
Yeah. So by the next one, I'll be able to give you a nice little update on how the Vive is.
Because of course you have bought the HTC one, did you?
Yes.
So the Oculus Rift one, why didn't you buy that one? Was that much more expensive?
No, the Vive is more expensive. The reason I went for the Vive is mainly because it comes with hand controllers. And also because it's room scale. So the Rift, you have like a camera. So the way they do the detecting of the headset is like the sort of opposite. The Rift has a camera, and there's IR emitters on the headset.
So there's a fixed camera in the room.
Yeah. So you have emitters on the headset, and the camera looks at you, and from the shape of the emitters, it works out where you're looking.
Oh, okay.
The way the Vive works is it has two things called lighthouses, which are basically, you put them in opposing corners of your room, and they sweep the room at like sort of down to up and then left to right with beams of light. And you've got detectors in your headset.
Infrared light?
It must be, yeah. But because of that, because it's like two in opposing corners and it sweeps the whole room, your entire room is like covered. So you just clear out your room and you can walk around and turn around, and they've got the hand things so you can reach and touch and stuff. So I thought, rather than a seated experience, the sort of standing one. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've seen some very interesting things. There was a demo I tried when I did have the Oculus Rift that I borrowed from work. I tried a demo of something called the Apollo 11 experience, and that's out now. And that was brilliant because basically it was like sort of you got to see the size of the rocket and then sit inside the capsule when it took off, and you could look around and see all the buttons and hear all the people talking.
So now I've seen on the advert, the Samsung advert, that their Samsung Gear VR is where you put their new S7 or something in the actual enclosure, and you put that onto you. But that's powered. It says powered by Oculus.
Well, yeah, because Oculus, the first VR device that came out was the Gear VR. So they make the optics and the enclosure effectively, and they've gone in conjunction with Samsung. And I think Samsung are making the screens for the Rift, because obviously mobile phone companies are used to making all these probably OLED screens now, aren't they? Yeah. But the Rift isn't getting very good press at the moment because they launched last week, but the only people that have received them are the people who backed the Kickstarter. And apparently they're having some sort of supply issues, which seems a bit surprising considering they're supposed to be making these for ages. But there's a lot of people thinking the supply issues are actually with the packaging. So the actual hardware is there and has been ready, but there's something in the packaging that's not right, or it's the Xbox controller that comes with it, or something that's not Rift's responsibility, but it's in the supply chain.
Which is it's a major fail for Oculus, because quite frankly, Oculus have been doing it for a hell of a long time. Yeah. You would have thought they would have got all this sorted.
They were very silent for a few days, which people were getting a bit annoyed about, and then they've come out and they've said they're going to give free shipping to everyone, which is a massive hit for them. So yeah, it's not been too successful. So we'll see whether HTC have any issues next week. There's a lot of people who bought the Vive whose credit cards are declining the payment, and people are saying that's a problem for HTC. And it's like, well, it's not really. It's just the credit card. If they bought a sofa for £700, it would have probably got blocked as well.
Oh, so they haven't told their bank or something,
Yeah, exactly.
or they don't have enough funds.
Yeah, one of the two. But we shall see whether they have enough. What's the word? Packages or whatever to supply the demand. But I'm looking forward to it.
And with the Vive, it's a fixed unit. You don't put a phone in or anything like the Galaxy, the VR, Gear VR. It's an entire unit. You put that on your head.
Yeah.
And that's all right. Okay.
Yeah. And the two hand controllers are like you sort of hold them like that. They've got like a little halo on the top as well because they're tracked in the same way.
So like Xbox things, not Xbox.
The Move type thing.
Yeah. So, and when you grip the hand controllers and move them in front of your field of vision or the device's field of vision, can you see them on your screen?
Yeah. So you see them in exactly the same place they are in real life.
Right. Okay.
So there's quite good videos of people like sort of showing how this works, and they put the headset on, and then they go and pick up the controllers because they can see where they are in virtual reality, exactly where they are in real life. So there's been people like showing how they can the tracking's that good, they can throw the controllers up in the air and catch them.
Wow. Yeah,
it's like millisecond delay type stuff. And also it's got this is another good thing actually with the Vive that I think Oculus have missed a trick really. They've put a little camera on the front of it. So there's this chaperone system where you can press a button and you can sort of see a version of your real room in the headset. So if you want to go and sit down in your chair, you just press a button. You can see your chair, go and sit in it, which I think is really good for this whole thing. I found when I had the Oculus, I'd put the thing on, and then I'd try and find my mouse. I couldn't find it. So being able to sort of see the real world, I think, is a good thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so other than the Oculus and the Vive, are we and obviously the Gear VR. Are we still waiting on things like the Microsoft HoloLens and
the Microsoft one? Their first development kit is available now, but it's $3,000. So I have no idea what that is going to be made of. Because obviously with Oculus, their first development kit, it was part of the Kickstarter, and it was like $250 or something. It was very affordable. So Microsoft one's obviously very what's the word? Specific use case for, you'll not get general public buying that. And there's still this Magic Leap one, which is the one that Google invested in hundreds of millions, which is the one that supposedly is like what's called light field technology. So this is the HoloLens and Magic Leap are augmented reality, so it's not virtual reality. It's putting things in the real world.
In the real world. So you're imposing things onto your field of vision. And
But the Magic Leap one is the one that everyone's sort of like thinking it's got to be vaporware, but then they've had that much investment. It's got to be a real thing. But it's definitely, it's not a screen in front of your face. It's definitely a new technology. It actually fires light into your eyes, apparently, rather than being a screen.
Yeah, you've got to get that right. People suing you for burnt retinas.
Yeah,
that's not good. But yeah, so I guess there's the fully functioned all in one type device, and then there's the one where you put a phone in.
Yeah,
there's a few of those around, don't there? Yeah. There seems to be quite a few of those type around, and they're pretty cheap. I think the Samsung one's about £80.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the difference between those ones, probably the major difference will be they will only have, what would be the word? Rotational tracking. Right. So you'll have moving your head left and right, up and down, but not positional. So obviously the Vive and the Rift, you can actually look around things and move your head, and it tracks everything, which I think is.
It's interesting though, because the chances of me buying a Vive or an Oculus Rift are probably very, very slim. I don't have enough interest to do it. Yeah. However, if I was going to pay 70 or 80 quid for something that I could put my phone in and give me some idea of the VR, that might be more appealing to me.
I think the only thing would be that while things like Google Cardboard and Gear VR are great, I think there'll be a lot of people who try them and then go, "Yeah, VR is not that good." You know what I mean? Because I think that the experience you get is going to be a lot different. Whereas if you try one of the more high-end ones, you will get that proper immersion.
So yeah, and we mentioned this the last time we talked about it. I think it was in January when we did the 2016 what's happening in the world in 2016. Glasses. How does the Vive deal with glasses?
Apparently, out of the two, the Vive works better because I think there's two faceplates. You can there's a replaceable faceplate, and one of them has cutouts on the side. So your glasses fit in, and the lenses are adjustable, so you can move them away. So apparently, they work very well. The Rift, not so much, I don't think. But we shall find out. I'm hoping it works well with glasses. When I used the Oculus, the development kit had replaceable lenses, so you could sort of put the other lenses in. And you didn't have to wear your glasses.
Well, I tried the development version of the Oculus at Mr. Armstrong's, and I couldn't get away with, because there was two wheels at the side that you had to independent, and I could never get. There certainly was nowhere near like pin sharp quality. So I think that somewhat coloured my like you said, actually probably exactly what you said about the other ones.
Yeah.
But I'm not silly enough to think that all VR is rubbish because I didn't have a very good experience.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't have time to get into it, basically.
I mean, the thing is, when I had a Rift at home for a while, there was definitely the majority of the time it was really good, but it wasn't great. You know what I mean? It was good. You could see the potential. There was perhaps 2 or 3 times when I properly got the feeling of like what they're calling presence or immersion.
Yeah.
There was 2 or 3 times when that happened, and when it did happen, it was really, really good. So I'm hoping that's going to be more obvious in the consumer stuff. And I mean, it's one of these things where it's definitely a technology where you can definitely see where it's going to go as well, assuming the sort of appetite for it continues, which I don't see why it won't. Within a couple of years, you'll have like 8K screens on it. So the resolution, because the resolution on these is, I think it's 2K. So it's sharper than development kits, but it's still not pin sharp. But once the screens are there, it will be, and then they'll get it done wirelessly, so you won't have wires, and they'll get smaller, and eventually it'll be run by a mobile phone. So you'll have some sort of headset or glasses and a mobile phone in your pocket, and that'll be it. Which I think will be amazing.
And on that amazing note, we will end tonight's broadcast of episode 61 of The Wondrous Stuff. We've talked about Nikola Tesla. We've talked about VR. If you want to talk back to us, we've got a number of ways you can get in contact us. We have our Twitter handles. Well, Ross still doesn't have a Twitter handle. But I have
see
my
if that
Twitter.
Works. How do I turn that on? It hasn't worked for ages.
wonderstuff@gmail.com, which we all have access to. And, of course, we have the blog at wonderstuff.com, where everything's all put on there in terms, including ways of getting in touch with us. So that was a brief foray into the weird world of Mr. Tesla, and a little bit of up-to-date news on VR. And we hope you've enjoyed it. We have, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time when hopefully we have the full set. I don't know what the collective noun for a
triumvirate.
A triumvirate of geeks.
Not really selling it.
All right then. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.